Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, some of you have asked to see my oldest bike, my winter bike, so I'm going to do a quick review of my Cannondale CAAD10 build. It's a bit of a mongrel, but it's probably the oldest bike that I ride and one of my favourites, so let's have a little look. The frame I got for the grand sum of £240 off eBay in the UK, and it was almost brand new, and the whole ethos of this bike is cheap. So that's the frame. Got a fabric flat elite saddle. I really enjoy these saddles, got them on all of my bikes. I like the shape, I like how squidgy they are, and they're not that heavy. It's just the normal steel rails on it. Thompson Elite seat post, super stiff and not much seat post sticking out for me. That might look a lot to some, but for me, because of the horizontal top tube on the Cannondale, there's actually not a lot for me. The wheels are the Giant SLR1 rim brake clinchers, which actually came on my TCR 2016. I've always ridden them on this. They're actually not the perfect winter wheel because they've got internal nipples and they're quite delicate, but they're really, really good. They're light, they're stiff, never had a problem with them. You can run them tubeless, but I don't. Tyres, cheapo Grand Prix Continental up front, 25mm. On the back, one of my favourite tyres ever, Vittoria Open Pave. They don't make those anymore, but that's a 27mm and I've got a couple of those left. Cranks, Rotor 3D Plus. Unfortunately, because this bike is a BB30, it's got an aluminium spindle, which I absolutely hate, but they seem to work quite well. They're pretty light, these cranks. Actually, they're really light. The chain rings aren't very stiff, so you get a fair bit of chain rub when you're in the big ring if the chain line isn't perfectly straight, but they seem to work well. So they're a direct contact with the steel bearings, the BB30 bearings, on a soft aluminium axle, and that's really bad because aluminium axles can gall. So I periodically take these cranks out and grease them to prevent galling. You've got to keep that interface greased, otherwise they can stick and start galling to the steel inner races of the bearings. Brakes are the SRAM Red. These are old SRAM Red rim brake calipers. Found these on eBay, a bit of an eBay find. I actually really like how they pivot, so they're floating on the mount. Some people don't like that because if they're out of line you need I think it's a 13mm spanner to actually adjust the mount, unlike Shimano calipers where you can kind of do it by hand. But these are floating, means if your wheel flexes or your wheel goes out of true, you don't really suffer from any rubbing. They're pretty light and they work perfectly with the Ultegra levers. Group set, it's just standard Ultegra rim brake, 105 cassette on the back, Ultegra chain, Dura-Ace pedals. Being kind of UK based bike, this does get really muddy and crappy, so I just use a 105 cassette. I find the 105 cassettes, with a shinier coating, they're much easier to keep clean than the Ultegra and Dura-Ace, which have a kind of more textured matte coating. Seat post is a Thompson Elite, phenomenally stiff, hardly any compliance in this bike apart from the squishy saddle which I told you about and the nice Vittorias on the rear. Eventually I would like to get a carbon post on here, a much softer carbon post. But yeah, this is a low cost bike which just gets abused, but as I said, it's still one of my absolute favourites. Cockpit, yes, I know I need new bar tape, but I absolutely love this Lizard Skins bar tape. It's very comfortable. This is the extra thick version. Handlebars, FSA Omega Compact, best handlebar on the market, about 25 quid. Really, really, really nice shape, almost flat drops. This is a 42 bar, probably could go a bit narrower, hood slightly inwards. Old Pro PLT stem, that was cheap, again, something off eBay I think. So what's the weight of this? It's about 7.5 kilos all up. It's a 60cm frame, so that's pretty damn light for a cheap bike with an aluminium frame and a very heavy seat post. Could probably get it down to 7 if I wanted to, but in all I just like the way the bike rides. I don't like the BB30, I don't like having to use a 30mm axle, but it's just what the bike came with. It was a cheap frame and I got the cranks cheap, and yeah, can't really fault this bike. It's trusty, it's reliable. I don't really have a problem with the BB30. This one seems to be made pretty well. As soon as I got it, I took the Enduro bearings out and I put some SKF bearings in, 2 RS sealed bearings, and like I said, I keep the axle really well greased to stop any galling of the aluminium axle. Another thing I like about this over the later CAAD12 is that the CAAD10 has way more tyre clearance than the CAAD12. On the CAAD12 it's a little bit tighter in the rear, which is weird because the trend was going towards bigger tyres for the CAAD12 and that actually made it worse. CAAD13's okay. There's the pivot on the SRAM red caliper, worked pretty well. I just wish they made these tyres again because I really like these open pavés. These are 27mm, but they look quite narrow because these giant rims, I think they're only 17mm, 18mm internal, so they don't plump up very big, but that's it. What do you think to the CAAD10? Let me know down below. Cheers.